Today we're problem solving, and I'll zoom in a little bit because you guys can't see. Okay. All right, so we're going to use the strategy working backwards. So what does working backwards mean? When we work backwards, what does that mean? Who can tell me what working backwards means? Ellie?
Having the total number, then going back to see the steps.
Yeah, having the total number, or maybe knowing what your answer is and then going back and figuring out something that's missing. That's also what algebra is. So we're sort of starting algebra in 5th grade right now. Okay, so here's our problem. The Diaz family is cross-country skiing the Big Tree Trails, which have a total length of 4 miles. Yesterday they skied the 7/10 mile Oak Trail. Today they ski the 3/5 mile Pine Trail. If they plan to ski all of the Big Tree Trails, how many more miles do they have left to ski? So let's think about what we need to find. What we need to find is the distance that they have left to ski. So, oops, that already says the distance. The distance they have left to ski. So what information do I need to use? We need to use the distance that they've already skied. So we're going to find out what that is. So what's the distance that they've already skied? So it says they already skied 7/10 of a mile. And then I also need to use the distance of the total distance that they want to ski. So they want to ski a total of 4 miles. Okay, so the information I need to use. We need to use the distance that they've already skied. And the total distance that they plan to ski. So like, what's their goal? So we're going to work backwards by starting with the total distance. And we're going to subtract each distance that they have already skied to find out the total amount they have left. The reason that we're going to subtract is because here it says how many more miles do they have left to ski. So we know if we're asking for how many more, that means we know we're going to subtract. Okay. Okay. So addition and subtraction are inverse operations. That means that when we subtract something from an addition problem, we know that that's what was left over. So that's kind of why we subtract to find out what was missing. So now we're going to write the equation. So how many miles did they ski yesterday? In the problem it says, Lily?
It says that they skied the 7/10 mile.
Okay, oops. They skied 7/10 of a mile. How many miles did they ski today, Reagan? 3/5. Plus M, that is you're just making up a letter. It could be M, usually it's X or N. It can be any letter that represents a number that we don't know. Okay, so that's what algebra is. We don't know what that is, so that's why it's M. We're giving it a letter because that's what we have to figure out. Then the total distance equals 4. So that's why we're working backwards, just like Ali said earlier. We know the answer. We know the total that they want to ski. They want to ski 4 miles. So to figure out what's left over. So to find what's left over, we have to work backwards. So to work backwards, we're going to subtract because we are adding here. We work backwards by taking this answer and putting it here. because that's how we're going to subtract all the other numbers to find out what's missing. Okay, so we have a total, a subtraction of 4 whole miles minus 7/10 and minus 3/5, because those are the ones that they've already done. So we have to figure out what's left over. Now here, I can't subtract, these aren't equal denominators, are they? So what do I need to do to these? Aaron? Okay, so we need to find the common denominator for 7/10 and 3/5. So how are we going to do that? Lily?
The ladder method.
Okay, so we're going to find the ladder method. So go ahead right now, take your 10 and the 5 and figure out what the LCD for 10 and 5 will be. Now we're going to change 3/5 into 6/10, correct? Okay. So what is 7/10 minus 6/10? Okay, so if we have, so we're kind of doing where we would put in parentheses, really. So what is 7/10 minus 6/10, everybody? 1/10. Can we take 3 away from 6? No. No, you can't. You can't take 3 minus 6 because it's too small. So we have to change that to 2. We add 10 to the 3, right? And we get 13/10. Then we subtract minus the 6/10. And we get 2 and 7/10. So that's our M, 2 and 7/10. So M is 2 and 7/10. So that's our answer. The family has 2 and 7/10 of a mile left to ski. Okay, so don't add these together and then subtract. You have to subtract them separately. Okay? All right, next problem. As part of their study, Native American basket weaving, Leah's class is making wicker baskets. Leah starts with a strip of wicker 36 inches long. From the strip, she first cuts one piece, but does not know its length. So that's our question, that's our letter. And then cuts the piece that is 6.5 inches long. The piece that's left is 7 3/4 inches long. What is the length of the first piece that she cuts? So what do we need to find? We need to look at our question. The question is, what is the length of the first piece she cuts from the strip? So that's what we need to find. So we're going to write that here. The length of the first piece cut from the strip. We don't need to make sounds. Okay, so what information do I need to use? So I'm gonna highlight here. So we need to know what she starts with. She starts with 36 inches. We need to know what she cuts off and what's left. So we're gonna write that in now. The length of the original strip. Oops. And the 2 links that are cut. How will I use the information? We're going to work backwards. Okay, so we're going to write an equation. So first, we're going to figure out we're going to say x is the length of the first piece. Then we're going to add the length of the two other pieces. Which is equals a total of 36. So since we're working backwards, we're going to be subtracting these two numbers from the total. So first we need to have common denominators. So let's go ahead. I think you guys can do that on your own. Let's make a half and 3/4 with common denominators. So go ahead and do that now. We're going to use a ladder method to find the common denominators for 2 and 4. That should be pretty easy for you guys by now. So go ahead and do that. And thumbs up when you have your answer. Equation really quickly, because it probably looks pretty confusing. Remember, the x is the number that we're looking for. So what are these three numbers representing? This is going to be a number eventually, but that's what we're going to figure out. What are these three? 1, 2, 3. What are these three numbers? What are those? Ali?
The strips.
These are the lengths of the strips. And then this total is, what is this total?
The total of all the strips.
That is the size of the strip, right? The total is, so all three of these numbers are going to equal 36. Does that make sense? So we have to find out what that number is. And in order to find that, we're going to have to subtract these numbers out to figure out what this is, because we know these numbers, if we take those away from 36, we know whatever's left over will be that missing number. Does that make sense? Okay, so hold up your hands and show me your total, or your common denominators, your LCD. Okay, if you have a 4, you're correct. So let's change 6.5. We're going to change that. What's my new denominator going to be? What is it? 2/4. Okay, so now I'm going to work backwards to solve. So I'm going to, so this is how we work backwards. We take this 36 and we're going to put it over here. And we're going to subtract each of these numbers. So 36 minus 2/4. What is 36 minus 2/4? Can we subtract a whole number from here? So what can we do to 36? It can become 35 and 4/4, right? Does that make sense? This is equal to 36 still, isn't it? Yes. So now we can subtract this. So what's 4/4 minus 2/4, everyone? 4/4 minus 2/4. Then we subtract our whole numbers, 35 and 6, and we get
29.
Now we're going to subtract 7 and 3/4. Okay, so can we subtract 2 from 3? Because we've got, let's see, we've got these two to subtract. Can we do that?
No.
So what do we do to the 29? The 29 becomes 28, and we're going to add 4/4, so that's going to be 6/4. Now we can subtract 7 and 3/4. So what is 6 minus? So now we're going to subtract our fractions. What's 6 minus 3?
3.
3/4. And now we subtract our whole numbers. It's 28 minus 7. What's 28 minus 7? So the answer is 21 3/4. So now what I like to do is I like to look at this. If I add, now x, this is what x equals. So that means that 21 3/4 plus 6 2/4 plus 7 3/4 equals 36. Is that correct? Do these three numbers equal 36? So that is the answer. So the length of the first piece that was cut is 21 3/4 inches. Okay? All right.